welcome to Let's Draw Nikki's Journey to Mastery. Today is a very special piece, another experiment as I have been doing lately. It was pretty fun, so let's jump into it. Hey guys, so today's piece is called Fire Eyes, and this piece was, as I said before, a bit of an experiment. It was a bigger experiment than I had initially planned. I was just thinking, Fire Eyes is going to be an interesting thing to try and figure out how to draw fire in a nice way that I would like. I've drawn fire before, but I've not always liked it. So I mentioned as much in my Twitch chat, and I got some suggestions, some video suggestions to watch on YouTube, which I did watch, and I did follow those tutorials and did a few studies of some fire, different styles of fire. So I really did get something out of that, but I also had to draw smoke and water, and those are also very hard for me. I struggled a lot with the smoke and water. The fire I figured out, as we'll see when we get to it, but the design of this piece was kind of a mishmash of different references that I had found, and I just decided to put her in water. I really like people peeking their heads out of water. I had gone through a couple of different sketches for this one, and finally settled on this. I think it was okay. I kind of wish I could have made the one where I had one sketch where the water's up to the girl's nose, and I thought that one would have been really cool if I could have figured that out, but I didn't stick with it. I instead went with this one. I did have a little trouble figuring out the skin tone. I went through a couple iterations before I settled on this one. I'm not sure if it was a good choice in the end. I mean, it comes together okay, I think, but I feel like I still didn't get the skin tone that fit the background or fit the environment best. I've never really studied color theory, so everything I do with color is quite instinctual. It's how I feel, what I feel looks good, I'm not really going by anything that I know, oh, this and this go together, or any technical knowledge. So it's always like, as a Jamaican would say, a buck up if I get it right. Here I am experimenting with different water ripple effects. I started off my first effect. I started off using references. I looked up some references of water rippling around a head peeking out of water. I had found this one picture with this turtle, very cute turtle, and I thought the water reflections looked really good, but I had trouble replicating it. I came up with this, which you'll see how it ended with. Yeah, this is pretty much how it looks. Didn't like it. I thought it looked okay, but it was a little too organic and messy for the style of render that I do, and I didn't think it would fit in well. I saved it just in case, but I decided to go with this more non-realistic, almost like ethereal feel of ripples of water, almost magical look that didn't make sense, physically, but was just interesting to look at. So I ended up going with that, and was like, whatever. I didn't really fuss over it any more than I was already fussing over it. I spent a little time on it, yes, but I tried to just let it go and just like whatever. The color blocking phase of this was tricky, which, as I've said before, usually when I have a little trouble with the color blocking phase, I usually end up with trouble painting it. And sure enough, I didn't like the shading of this when I finally started shading and rendering. The nose was really cute. Love how the nose looks, but something about the skin tone color with the highlights and everything, something about it was really weird. I had to go into Photoshop, which you just saw. I just left Photoshop to kind of give a little bit more warmth to the skin tone, and I feel like that helped. I liked it much more. I ended up like taking away a lot of the highlights for a while. Like you'll see me like, I think I cut back most of the highlights that were on the under the eye there, which was a technique I picked up from the last couple paintings. But I do eventually come back in and put in more bright highlights on like the nose and the eye in the middle corner of the eye there. And on the lips, because I initially started putting highlights on the lips and didn't like it and left it, but then I came back and put highlights. So it's just like, you know, pushing and pulling colors and shadows. You kind of figure it out as you go, especially if you don't know what you're doing, like me. I didn't like the lips. I wanted to go with like a nude lip color, but in the end I didn't like it. I think I would have preferred if I had given it a color like pink or something interesting. I don't know, maybe gold. Oh, here's my fire reference. So this was one of the studies I did of painting fire, and I'll try to remember to leave a link to the tutorial that taught how to paint this fire. It was a really great tutorial, and I absolutely love the look of this flame. But when I did it on her eyes, I just didn't like how thick and overly realistic it was. So I tried going to the other extreme and doing this more stylized version. And this one was just way too out there. I didn't even finish it. So then I decided, you know what, let me use my old technique for painting fire and kind of combine what I've learned with what I normally do. And that's what I did here, and I absolutely love how it came out. I did some overlays to kind of amp up the saturation in some places, and I really like how the fire looks. I kind of wish I did fire hair because I think the fire hair would have looked a lot cooler than the smoke. So this is one of the pieces that I feel I had to leave it for a while and come back to admire it or to appreciate it. Because I did not appreciate this piece when I was done. I was so happy to be done with it. I was like, ugh. But coming back to it afterwards and looking at even just watching this speed paint back, and looking at the final piece, I actually really appreciate a lot of aspects of this. The skin looks a lot nicer to me than I remember. I feel like the few little extra highlights that I added after the fact really did something. Like I went back and you can see a lot more highlights now. I also don't hate the smoke hair, which I did not think would happen. I messed with it and just messed with it until I got something that was semi-decent, and I just left it. I was like, whatever, I don't know. I had trouble finding tutorials for smoke and water. Like I found like traditional art tutorials for painting water, and I could have like done the work and done the tutorial, you know, try to figure it out digitally and do what I did with the fire, but I just didn't make time to do it, so it didn't happen. And I had to, you know, stream the very next day, so I was like, whatever, I'll just do whatever. These little flower things, now I was very proud of myself. I was patient and took my time to try and figure out how to paint all of these. In fact, this next part that I'm doing here, it was interesting when I was doing it at first. I was like, oh, this will be cool. I did earrings like this with this style at one point, and I really liked it, but I should have gone back and looked at the earrings because they didn't look like this at all. And I didn't like them from afar. I thought it looked too busy. So I ended up simplifying it and just making it like pearlescent, kinda, you know, kind of like the pearls in the little flower thingies. And I thought that was good enough. I think, you know, because there's so many little pieces of them, if they're too detailed, which was what was happening with the first iteration, they kind of looked messy and not cool. So I settled with the more simplified design. But overall, it was a pretty easy process, if not just tedious. It was just tedious. But it was pretty quick and easy, especially when I got to this part. I was just like copy pasting. I was pretty much done. But yeah, so this is pretty much it. Just finishing up that little diamond thing on her forehead and the shadow, and this is pretty much it. But yeah, I hope you like it. Let's take a look at the close-ups. But yeah, this is the final piece. I hope you like it. As I said, coming back to it, I definitely appreciate it more. There are aspects about it that I can say that I do like. Especially I think my favorite part is probably the eyelashes, the burning eyelashes. That was actually a Twitch suggestion. I was gonna make her eyes on fire based on this reference picture that I found, but I like this better. So I'm pretty happy with it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry for that clap if it was too loud in your ears. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you next time. Bye!